So this is your first congressional, I guess, work period since
Yes.
being brought into office. Can you tell me how it's gone so far?
Well, first of all, yeah, the first 2 weeks in Congress was a whirlwind. Just even getting to be sworn in after 4 days. So it was really nice to know that I could come home and be home for a week back in the district. Obviously, first and foremost, seeing my sons and my husband and being home with them, but really getting a chance to then also come out into the community and really just talk story with people in terms of, okay, now we're official, we've got a lot of work to catch up on and do. So I'm so glad that I could spend the day here on Maui, connecting with a lot of thought leaders, community members, and really making sure that when we fly back to DC on Sunday, we're ready to work on behalf of the people.
What have you heard so far from the Maui community?
You know, I'm looking forward to some other meetings later today with some nonprofit leaders, but very similar things. We're facing so many challenges here, whether it be with water issues, whether it be taking a look at how we can support local agriculture, struggles with that, with the access tier population, housing. We have so many of our families, from our young people to our kupuna, leaving our islands because it's just too hard to afford. To live here. It's a struggle, and so these are the kinds of things that I've heard just in the last couple hours that I have been on island that we've got to tackle together. And so really very similar to what I've heard for months before, but I think a heightened urgency. We've got to work on the affordability so people can stay here. They've got housing options for themselves at all cross sections of their life. To also looking at how we can really make this a place where we see a future for ourselves, and looking at how we feed ourselves and how we support our producers and our businesses. And so there's a lot of work to do, no shortage of challenges, but I've been so inspired just by the willingness to partner and work together that I've encountered.
You've had years of experience in the state legislature.
Yes.
How does this compare, like tackling something like affordable housing at the national level? Is there a different approach that you have to
take? Well, absolutely. You know, sadly, I wish I could say that the challenges we're facing right now are different from the ones I faced when I was in the state senate, because we fixed those things. But the reality is those same problems that we were dealing with when I was in the Senate for 12 years, we're still dealing with today, whether it be housing people can afford, access to education, good jobs, the ability to feed yourself. These are ongoing challenges. In fact, they've just worsened over time. I feel like now at the federal level, it gives me a whole new toolbox of options and abilities and opportunities to do even more for the people of Hawaii. Not to say you can't do a lot at the state level, but this really expands and blows it out. What I've also seen just from engaging with my incoming freshman colleagues and other colleagues in Congress is we're not alone. It often feels sometimes that Hawaii is isolated out here in the Pacific, and it's so much harder for us here, but the reality is everywhere across our country, in communities and states far away from our islands, people are facing that same struggle. The ability to really see a life for themselves in the community that's long been their home, the place that they love. The ability to have a roof over their head, food on the table, opportunities with jobs and education. And so really to me becomes incumbent on us to find those like-minded partners across the country and use those partnerships to really bring it home for all of our people in our communities. And so that's exciting for me. To me, there's a whole toolbox more of opportunities, relationships, partnerships that we can forge to make life better here for the people of Maui and Hawaii.